The massive crystal halls of Nexus Prime had never seen such a gathering. 12 different alien species sat around the council chamber, their various forms creating strange shadows on the walls. Some breathed different gases, others needed special lights to see. But they all agreed on one thing. The small blue planet called Earth needed to be conquered. Admiral Kai Min stood on the observation deck of Earth's largest space station. He watched the stars through the thick glass windows. Something felt wrong. The deep space sensors had been picking up strange signals for weeks. Ships were moving in the dark spaces between stars. Big ships. "Sir, you need to see this," Captain Bora said as she walked up behind him. She carried a data pad with red warning lights flashing on its screen. "The computers have been tracking movement near the outer edge of our solar system. Whatever is out there, it's huge." Kaiman took the data pad and studied the numbers. His face grew serious. "How many ships?" "We think maybe 1,000. Maybe more. They're too far away to count exactly." Bora pointed to the readings. "But sir, these aren't like any ships we've ever seen. The energy signatures are completely different." On the moon, Commander Tejo walked through the underground tunnels that connected the lunar defense platforms. Most people on Earth didn't know these tunnels existed. They had been built in secret over the past 20 years. Hidden weapons, secret laboratories, and defense systems that the government had never told anyone about. "Status report," Tejo said into his radio as he entered the main control room. "All systems are ready, sir," came the reply. "The quantum satellites are in position. The polar installations are fully charged. We're just waiting for your order." Tejo nodded. He hoped they would never need to use these weapons. But the signs were clear. Something big was coming to Earth. Far away on Nexus Prime, the Alien Council was making their final plans. The Hive Queen, Velkara, spoke in a buzzing voice that filled the chamber. Her insect-like body moved as she talked. "The humans are weak. Our scouts have watched them for many years. They fight each other constantly. They have no unity." The luminary overlord, Zephon, who looked like living light in the shape of a person, agreed. "Their technology is primitive. Their fastest ships barely reach other planets in their own system. They will surrender quickly when they see our power." The other aliens nodded. The reptilian Saurans showed their sharp teeth in what they thought was a smile. The machine-like constructs calculated victory percentages. The slug-like gastropods left trails of agreement slime on the floor. "We will give them one chance to surrender," Velkara said. "If they refuse, we will take their planet by force. Earth has resources we need. The humans can work for us or die." Back on Earth, Dr. Yunji sat in her laboratory late at night. She specialized in studying alien life forms, even though Earth had never met any aliens officially. The government had found crashed ships over the years, and she studied the remains. Tonight, she was working on something different. Her computers had intercepted part of a transmission from deep space. The message was in multiple alien languages, but her translation programs were slowly figuring it out. What she read made her hands shake. The message talked about invasion fleets and conquest plans. It mentioned Earth by name. She immediately called the emergency military number she had been given years ago. "This is Dr. Yunji. I need to speak with Admiral Kaimin right away. It's about the alien signals." Within an hour, Yunji was on a military transport flying to the space station. She brought all her data with her. When she showed Kai Min what she had discovered, his face went pale. "Are you sure about this translation?" he asked. "I've checked it 3 times. They're planning to invade Earth. A massive fleet is already on its way here." Lieutenant Colonel Dong-Su received his orders that same night. His Special Forces team had trained for this exact mission for 5 years. They were going to capture an alien scout ship. The ship was small and moved fast, but it had been spotted near Jupiter. Human stealth fighters had been tracking it for 2 days. Now it was Dong-Su's job to board it and bring back prisoners for questioning. "Remember, we need them alive," Dong-Su told his team as they prepared their assault shuttle. "We need to know what we're up against." The mission was dangerous. The alien ship had advanced weapons and shields, but humans had one advantage the aliens didn't expect. Humans were willing to take risks that seemed crazy to other species. Dong-Su's shuttle rammed directly into the alien ship's hull. The impact damaged both ships, but the humans had planned for that. They wore heavy armor and carried cutting tools. Within minutes, they had cut through the alien ship's walls and were inside. The aliens inside the ship were tall and thin, with blue skin. They had never seen humans before. They were so surprised that they didn't fight back effectively. Dongsu's team captured 2 of them and stole their ship's computer files. When they brought the aliens back to Earth, the interrogation revealed important information. The aliens thought humans were primitive and weak. They expected Earth to surrender without much fighting. They had no idea about Earth's secret weapons or hidden military preparations. But most importantly, the captured aliens revealed how other species in the galaxy fought wars. They followed rules. They fought with honor. They tried to avoid unnecessary damage. They warned their enemies before attacking. Humans, the aliens learned too late, didn't fight that way at all. Admiral Kai Min called an emergency meeting with Earth's military leaders. Representatives from every major nation attended the video conference. The room was filled with tension as Kai Min explained what they had learned. "The alien fleet will be here in less than a month," he said. "They have ships we can't match with conventional weapons. But we do have advantages they don't know about." General Wu Jin, representing the Asian Defense Coalition, spoke up. "Are we really going to activate the quantum grid? That will make the entire planet uninhabitable for anyone using advanced technology. Including us," added Admiral Peterson from the American Space Command. "Our own ships and weapons will stop working too." Kai Min nodded grimly. "That's why. We've been preparing for this scenario for 20 years. The underground cities, the hidden fleets, the quantum-shielded equipment. We knew this day might come." President Chen from the Global Defense Council asked the question everyone was thinking. What if we tried to negotiate? Maybe we could find a peaceful solution? "The intercepted messages are clear," Dr. Yunji said. "They see us as resources to be harvested. They've done this to hundreds of other worlds. They take what they want and enslave or kill the rest." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Earth was about to face the greatest threat in human history. But they also knew something the aliens didn't. Humans had been preparing for this war for decades. Secret facilities on every continent held weapons and equipment designed specifically to fight alien invaders. Underground cities could house millions of people. And most importantly, humans had developed technology that the aliens had never seen before. The quantum defense grid was just the beginning. Earth had more surprises waiting for anyone foolish enough to attack their world. As the meeting ended, each leader returned to their nations to begin final preparations. Evacuation plans were activated. Military units moved to hidden positions. Scientists made final adjustments to weapons that violated every galactic treaty that Earth had never agreed to follow. The aliens thought they were coming to conquer a primitive world. They had no idea they were about to face a species that had spent its entire history learning how to kill each other more efficiently. Now all of that deadly knowledge would be turned against the invaders. Earth was ready for war. The alien fleet came out of hyperspace like a storm of metal and light. Their ships were enormous, some as big as cities. The bioships looked like giant insects with wings that sparkled in the sunlight. The crystal ships reflected rainbow colors as they moved. Energy beings flew in formations that hurt human eyes to look at directly. Ambassador Haiyan Wu stood in the communications center on Earth's primary space station. He had been chosen to speak for all of humanity because he could stay calm under pressure. Today, that skill would be tested like never before. The alien transmission came through clearly. The voice was translated by computer, but it still sounded strange and threatening. "Primitive humans of the third planet. We are the Galactic Confederation. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender immediately and your deaths will be quick." Hyunwoo looked at Admiral Kai Min, who nodded. The ambassador pressed the transmission button and spoke calmly into the microphone. "This is Ambassador Haiyan Wu speaking for Earth and all humanity. We have heard your demand. Our answer is no." The silence that followed lasted almost a full minute. The aliens had clearly expected a different response. "You refuse?" The alien voice sounded surprised. "Do you not understand? We have 1,000 ships. You have perhaps 50. Resistance is pointless." "We understand perfectly," Hyunwoo replied. "Earth is our home. We will defend it." Captain So Young commanded the flagship Soul's Pride as it led the first wave of human defenders toward the alien fleet. She knew her ships were outmatched. The alien vessels had energy shields that could stop most human weapons. Their guns could destroy a human ship with a single shot. But So Young had spent her entire career studying alien technology from the captured scout ships. She knew their weaknesses. The aliens fought like they were playing a game with rules. They expected their enemies to do the same. "All ships, this is Soul's pride," she broadcast to her fleet. "Remember, we're not trying to win this battle. We're trying to learn how to win the war. Get as close as you can. Record everything. Send all data back to Earth before they destroy us." The human ships accelerated toward the alien fleet at maximum speed. The aliens fired warning shots first, expecting the humans to turn around. When the human ships kept coming, the aliens seemed confused. The battle was short and brutal. Human energy weapons barely scratched the alien shields. Missiles exploded harmlessly against their barriers. Ship after ship was destroyed by alien return fire. But the humans did something no other species had ever done. When their weapons failed, they rammed their ships directly into the alien vessels. The impacts were devastating for both sides. Human ships exploded, but they took alien ships with them. Captain So Young aimed her damaged flagship directly at the alien command ship. Her crew had already escaped in the life pods, but she stayed behind to guide the ship's final attack. Soul's Pride punched through the alien ship's shields through pure kinetic force and exploded inside its hull. The alien fleet commander, watching his flagship burn, couldn't understand what had just happened. "These humans fight without honor," he reported back to his superiors. "They destroyed their own ships to damage ours. This is not how civilized beings wage war." But the human sacrifice had achieved its goal. Every human ship had transmitted detailed scanner data back to Earth before being destroyed. The military computers were already analyzing alien shield frequencies, weapon patterns, and ship designs. General Wu Jin watched the battle from Earth's primary defense bunker, buried deep under the Rocky Mountains. The room was filled with screens showing data from the engagement. His staff worked frantically to process the information. "Their shields rotate frequencies every 30 seconds, reported one technician. "But there's a 2-second gap during the rotation where they're vulnerable. Their weapons need to charge between shots," said another. "Big ships need almost 10 seconds to recharge their main guns." "And sir," added a third technician, "their formation patterns suggest they've never fought an enemy that uses suicide tactics. They don't know how to defend against ramming attacks." Wu Jin nodded grimly. The first battle had cost them their entire space fleet, but it had provided valuable intelligence. Now the real war could begin. The alien ground forces began, landing on Earth's major continents. Their troop ships descended through the atmosphere like falling stars. The ships were beautiful and terrible, designed to inspire fear in their enemies. Major Jin A stood on the roof of a building in Seoul, watching the alien ships land in the distance. She had spent years preparing for this moment. Around her, the city looked empty, but she knew better. Millions of civilians were already safe in the underground shelters. The surface was now a battlefield. "All units, this is Major Jin A," she spoke into her radio. "Operation Underground begins now. Let them think they've won. Then we show them what real fighting looks like." The alien troops that emerged from their ships were impressive. Some were tall and thin, with advanced energy weapons. Others were massive and armored like walking tanks. They moved in perfect formations and communicated through advanced technology. They expected to face human armies in open combat. Instead, they found empty cities. For 3 days, the aliens searched for human resistance. They found abandoned military bases with equipment left behind. They discovered empty government buildings. They began to think the humans had all fled or hidden. On the 4th day, the attacks began. Sergeant Junho led his team through the subway tunnels under Seoul. They had been down there for a week, watching and waiting. Now it was time to strike. Aliens had set up a command post in the city center. They thought the building was secure because they controlled all the streets around it. They didn't know about the underground passages that connected every major building in the city. Junho's team emerged from the basement of the command building at midnight. They moved silently through the corridors, planting explosives on critical systems. The aliens had guards, but they were watching for attacks from outside, not from below. When the explosives detonated, the entire alien command structure in Seoul was destroyed. Before the aliens could respond, Junho's team had disappeared back into the tunnel system. Similar attacks happened in cities around the world. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't see or predict. Their advanced sensors couldn't track humans who used simple technology and moved through underground passages. But the aliens were learning too. They began using orbital bombardment to destroy entire city blocks where they suspected human activity. They brought in specialized hunter units designed to track enemies in urban environments. The war was escalating, and both sides were adapting to their enemies' tactics. Commander Sung-min received the activation order at the Antarctic facility. The massive installation had been hidden under the ice for 15 years. Even most of Earth's governments didn't know it existed. Begin quantum field initialization, he ordered his team. Set power to 20%. We want them to notice, but not understand what they're seeing. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, fusion reactors that had been dormant for years began to wake up. Massive amounts of energy started flowing through underground cables toward the polar region. The energy signature was so large that alien ships in orbit immediately detected it. The alien fleet commander studied the readings with confusion. What are the humans doing at their planet's South Pole? These energy levels are impossible for their technology. Should we investigate? Asked his tactical officer. Send a squadron to examine the source, but be careful. These humans have already surprised us once. As alien ships moved toward Antarctica, they triggered proximity sensors that had been waiting for exactly this moment. Hidden missile batteries emerged from the ice and fired surface-to-space rockets at the approaching vessels. The missiles were primitive by galactic standards, but they were fast and numerous. Several alien ships were damaged by the unexpected attack. More importantly, the aliens realized that Earth had defensive installations they knew nothing about. How many more surprises do these humans have? The fleet commander wondered aloud. In the underground command bunkers, Admiral Kai Min watched the battle reports with satisfaction. The aliens were reacting exactly as predicted. They were curious about the energy readings from Antarctica, which meant they would investigate further. Phase 1 is complete, he reported to the other military leaders. The aliens have taken the bait. Now we wait for them to commit more forces to the surface before we activate the full quantum grid. Captain Hyunwoo, monitoring from the Lunar Command Center, tracked the alien fleet movements. Sir, they're moving more ships into low orbit. I count at least 300 vessels now within the quantum field effect range. Perfect, Kai Min replied. How long until the quantum generators reach full power? 18 hours, sir. Then in 18 hours, we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten Earth. But the aliens had one more surprise of their own. Deep space sensors detected a new signal approaching the solar system. A second alien fleet, even larger than the first, was coming to reinforce the invasion. The real battle was about to begin. The ruins of Seoul had become a maze of broken buildings and collapsed highways. Sergeant Junho moved through the wreckage like a ghost, leading his team from one hiding spot to another. The aliens controlled the sky and the main roads, but they were learning that humans could fight in places no civilized species would consider battlefields. Target acquired, whispered Private Min-soo through his radio. He was positioned in the remains of a shopping mall, watching an alien patrol through the broken windows. 6 hostiles, moving in standard formation. Junho studied the patrol through his binoculars. The aliens were tall and thin with blue skin, carrying energy weapons that could cut through steel. They moved carefully but predictably, following the same patrol routes they had used in previous cities they had conquered. Wait for them to reach the intersection, Junho ordered. Remember, we're not trying to destroy them all. We just want to hurt them and disappear. The aliens had advanced armor and shields, but they had never fought an enemy that used the environment as a weapon. When the patrol reached the intersection, Junho's team triggered the explosives they had planted in the underground gas lines 3 days earlier. The explosion erupted from beneath the street, turning the intersection into a crater of fire and debris. The alien shields protected them from energy weapons, but did nothing against the shockwave and falling concrete. 2 aliens died instantly, and the others were injured and confused. Before the aliens could recover, Junho's team vanished into the subway tunnels. By the time alien reinforcements arrived, the humans were already miles away, planning their next attack. This scene was repeated thousands of times across Earth's surface. Humans used tactics that the aliens considered barbaric and dishonorable. They poisoned water supplies that alien troops used. They collapsed buildings on alien vehicles. They used children's toys as improvised explosives. Dr. Min Seo worked in a hidden laboratory beneath the Himalayan mountains. She had spent her career studying biochemistry, but now she was developing weapons that no galactic treaty had ever considered banning. Earth had never signed those treaties anyway. "The new compound is ready for testing," she reported to General Wu Jin through encrypted communication. "It targets the specific proteins in alien blood. It's completely harmless to humans but deadly to most of the alien species we've encountered." "How do we deploy it?" Wu Jin asked. "Water supplies, air conditioning systems, even spray bottles. The aliens will never see it coming because it looks and smells like ordinary water." The weapon was distributed to resistance cells around the world. Aliens began getting sick in cities where they thought they had established secure control. Their medical teams couldn't understand what was happening because the weapon was designed to mimic natural illnesses. Captain Yoon Hai flew her modified fighter through the concrete canyons of New York City. Her aircraft had been a civilian racing plane before the war, but now it carried missiles and machine guns. More importantly, it was small and fast enough to fly between buildings where the massive alien ships couldn't follow. "This is Ghost Squadron. Leader," she reported to the other pilots following her. "Target is the atmospheric processor they've set up in Central Park. We go in low and fast, hit it hard, then scatter before their air support can respond." The alien atmospheric processor was the size of a city block. It was slowly changing Earth's air to make it more suitable for alien life forms. Destroying it wouldn't win the war, but it would force the aliens to divert resources to defend their other installations. Yoon Hai's squadron screamed between the skyscrapers at speeds that would have been impossible in peacetime. They flew so low that their wings almost touched the ruined streets. The alien air patrols above them couldn't fire without hitting their own ground installations. The attack lasted less than 30 seconds. Missiles struck the processor from 6 different directions simultaneously. The explosion was visible from orbit, and toxic gases that had been building up inside the machine spread across the area, forcing nearby alien troops to evacuate. "Mission accomplished," Yoon Hai reported as her squadron dispersed to hidden landing strips throughout the city. "Processor destroyed. No casualties on our side, but the aliens were adapting to human tactics. They began using orbital bombardment to destroy entire city blocks where they suspected human activity. If they couldn't find the rebels, they would simply eliminate all possible hiding places." The counterattack was devastating. Millions of tons of debris fell from the sky as alien ships destroyed human cities from space. But even this brutal tactic couldn't stop the resistance. Humans had spent their entire history learning to survive disasters. Earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, and wars had taught them how to live in ruins and rebuild from nothing. The aliens had destroyed their cities, but they couldn't destroy their will to fight. Admiral Kaimin watched the orbital bombardment reports from his deep underground command center. Each destroyed city was a tragedy, but it was also proof that the aliens were getting desperate. They were using their most powerful weapons against civilian targets because they couldn't defeat the human military. "Sir, the quantum generators have reached 80% power," reported Commander Sung Min from Antarctica. "All polar installations are synchronized and ready for activation." "What about our people on the surface?" Kai Min asked. "Final evacuations are in progress. All resistance cells have been ordered to retreat to the underground shelters. We estimate 95% of our people will be safely underground within 6 hours." Kai Min nodded. The quantum defense grid would save Earth, but at a terrible cost. Once activated, the field would disable all advanced technology on the planet's surface. Alien ships would fall from the sky, but human technology would fail too. The war would become a battle between Stone Age weapons and superior alien strength. But humans had been preparing for this scenario for 20 years. Underground cities could house hundreds of millions of people. Weapons that didn't rely on advanced electronics were stockpiled in hidden bunkers. And most importantly, humans knew how to fight without technology better than any other species in the galaxy. Lieutenant Dalsu led a convoy of trucks through the abandoned streets of Tokyo. His mission was to evacuate the last group of civilians. From the surface before the quantum grid activated, the trucks were old and simple, designed to keep working even when all electronic systems failed. "Command, this is Evacuation Team 7, he reported through his radio. "We have the last group, from Sector 12, proceeding to Underground City 3. The civilians in his trucks were mostly elderly people who had refused to abandon their homes until the last possible moment. They sat quietly as the convoy moved through the ruins of their city, watching their world disappear behind them. "Don't worry," Dalsu told them through the truck's intercom. "This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a different kind of war." The entrance to Underground City 3 was hidden beneath what looked like a collapsed highway overpass. But when Dalsu's trucks approached, massive doors opened in the ground, revealing elevator platforms that could lower entire vehicles into the earth. The underground city was vast, with room for 2 million people. It had its own air supply, water treatment, food production, and manufacturing facilities. Most importantly, everything in the city was designed to work without advanced electronics. Similar cities existed under every major continent. Humanity had learned from the ants and termites, building vast underground colonies that could survive any surface catastrophe. But the aliens didn't know about the underground cities. Their intelligence reports showed that most of the human population had simply vanished. They assumed the humans had fled to other planets or hidden in remote areas. They had no idea that beneath their feet, millions of humans were preparing for the next phase of the war. Specialist Su Jin checked her equipment one last time before leaving the underground armory. She wore simple body armor made from metal plates and leather straps. Her weapons were crossbows, chemical explosives, and edged weapons that looked ancient but were made from the most advanced materials Earth could produce. "Remember, her squad," leader told the group. "Once the quantum field activates, we go back to basics. No radios, no night vision, no guided missiles. We fight like our ancestors did, but with better training and superior weapons." Su Jin had trained for this moment for 5 years. She could kill an enemy silently with a knife, hit targets at 500 meters with a crossbow, and make explosives from common household chemicals. She was a soldier from the future fighting with weapons from the past. Around the world, thousands of similar teams prepared for the transition. They would emerge from the underground shelters after the quantum field disabled all technology on Earth's surface. Then they would face the alien invaders in the oldest form of combat known to any species. Hand-to-hand fighting for survival, the aliens thought they had conquered Earth. They were about to learn that the war had barely begun. Commander Sung Min stood in the control room of the Antarctic facility, his hand hovering over the activation switch. Around him, dozens of technicians monitored screens showing energy readings from around the globe. Every polar installation was ready. Every underground city was sealed. Every human on the surface had been evacuated to quantum-shielded shelters. "All stations report ready," announced his communications officer. "Underground cities confirm all blast doors are sealed. Surface teams have reached minimum safe distance." Sung Min took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change Earth forever. "Admiral Kai Min, this is Antarctic Control. We are ready to activate the quantum defense grid." From his command bunker, Kai Min's voice came through clearly. "The alien fleet is moving more ships into low orbit. We have maximum target concentration. You are authorized to proceed." "Understood. Quantum defense grid activation in 10 seconds. Sung Min began the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate. He pressed the switch. Around the globe, massive generators buried deep in polar ice began to pulse with energy that had never been seen before in the galaxy. The quantum field spread outward from both poles, invisible but devastatingly effective against any technology more advanced than simple mechanical devices. Captain Hyun Woo watched from the Lunar Command Center as the field reached the alien ships orbiting Earth. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the alien vessels began to lose power. "My God," breathed the tactical officer beside him. "Look at them fall." The alien bioships convulsed as the quantum interference disrupted their nervous systems. The crystalline vessels cracked and shattered as their harmonic frequencies destabilized. Energy-based ships simply winked out of existence as their power sources failed. Ships that had seemed invincible minutes before now plummeted toward Earth's surface like burning meteors. The sky filled with fire as thousands of alien vessels crashed into oceans, mountains, and empty cities. But the quantum field affected human technology too. Hyunwoo's lunar base, protected by special shielding, could only watch as Earth's electronic civilization shut down. Satellite communications failed. Power grids collapsed. Every computer, radio, and electronic device on the planet's surface stopped working. Earth had deliberately returned itself to the pre-electronic age to defeat the alien invasion. Lieutenant Dalsu felt the ground shake as alien ships crashed into the landscape around Underground City 3. The massive blast doors that protected the city entrance groaned under the impact of falling debris, but they held. Inside the city, emergency lighting powered by mechanical generators cast strange shadows on the walls. "All sections report status," Dalsu called out to his evacuation teams through the city's mechanical intercom system. The underground cities used pneumatic tubes and hand-cranked communications, technology that the quantum field couldn't touch. Section A secure, no casualties. Section B secure, minor damage to air recycling system, but it's still operational. Section C secure. We can hear explosions outside, but the blast doors are holding. Around the world, similar reports came from other underground cities. Humanity had successfully retreated beneath the Earth while their planet became uninhabitable for any technology-dependent life form. But on the surface, a different kind of war was beginning. The aliens who survived the crashes found themselves in a nightmare scenario. Their energy weapons no longer worked. Their communication systems were dead. Their armor had become heavy metal shells without power to assist movement. Most devastating of all, their spacecraft that remained intact. On the surface were now useless metal sculptures. Commander Vextar of the Galactic Fleet struggled out of his crashed command ship. His blue skin was bruised, and his tall frame was bent with pain. Around him, the wreckage of what had been the most powerful invasion force in galactic history stretched across the landscape. "Status report," he called to his surviving troops. But his voice carried only as far as sound could travel. The advanced communication implants that connected him to his fleet were silent. The soldiers who gathered around him looked lost and confused. They had spent their entire military careers relying on technology that no longer existed. Without their computers, they couldn't coordinate attacks. Without their sensors, they couldn't find enemies. Without their energy weapons, they had to fight with primitive backup systems. "Sir," one of his officers said uncertainly, "what are our orders?" Vextar looked around at the alien landscape. They were stranded on a hostile world with no way to contact their home planets for rescue. The humans had somehow neutralized the most advanced technology in the galaxy. "We survive," he said finally, "and we try to find other survivors." What Vextar didn't know was that humans were already watching him. Specialist Sujin lay hidden in the rocks above the alien crash site. She wore camouflaged clothing and carried weapons that would have been familiar to warriors from centuries past. But her crossbow was made from advanced composite materials, and her arrows were tipped with poisons designed specifically for alien biology. Through her mechanical binoculars, she watched the alien commander try to organize his surviving troops. She counted about 50 aliens, all looking confused and frightened without their technology. "Base, this is Scout Team 7, she whispered into a speaking tube that connected to the underground city through a buried pneumatic system. "I have visual on approximately 50 alien survivors. They appear disoriented and poorly equipped for surface operations." The response came back through the same tube. "Understood, Scout 7. Continue observation. Do not engage until you receive further orders." Sujin smiled grimly. The aliens had fallen into the perfect trap. They were stranded on a planet where humans had spent thousands of years learning to fight without advanced technology. This was going to be interesting. Across the planet, similar scenes were playing out. Alien survivors stumbled through landscapes they couldn't understand, trying to operate equipment that no longer worked. Meanwhile, humans emerged from hidden shelters with weapons and tactics designed for exactly this situation. The war was about to become very personal. Major Chan Wook led the first surface assault team out of Underground City 5. His soldiers looked like medieval warriors, but they carried the deadliest non-electronic weapons Earth could produce. Crossbows with armor-piercing bolts, chemical explosives triggered by mechanical timers, and edged weapons made from materials harder than diamond. "Remember the briefing," he told his troops as they climbed toward the surface. The aliens are stronger and faster than humans, but they're not used to fighting without their technology. Use the terrain, stay mobile, and hit them where they don't expect it. The entrance to their underground city opened into what had been a forest before the alien bombardment. Now it was a landscape of broken trees and crash sites. Smoke rose from a dozen alien ships scattered across the area. First squad, take the crash site to the north. Second squad, sweep the eastern area. Third squad, secure the communications relay. Chan Wook's orders were carried by runners, since radio communication was impossible. The assault teams moved out across the devastated landscape. They had trained for this scenario countless times, but they had never faced real aliens in combat. Today would test everything they had learned. The first contact came when Second Squad encountered a group of alien soldiers trying to salvage equipment from their crashed ship. The aliens were tall and strong, but they moved clumsily in their unpowered armor. Sergeant Kim Ho, leading Second Squad, gave hand signals to his troops. They surrounded the aliens without being detected, then attacked from 6 directions simultaneously. The crossbow bolts struck alien armor with incredible force. The composite materials punched through metal that had been designed to stop energy weapons. Chemical explosives detonated among the alien group, releasing toxic gases that the aliens' failing life support systems couldn't filter. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. When it ended, 12 alien soldiers lay dead, and the humans had suffered no casualties. Target neutralized, Kim Ho reported to Chan Wook through a runner. We recovered some of their equipment for analysis. But the aliens were learning too. Commander Vextar received reports of the attack through survivors who managed to reach his position on foot. He realized that the humans weren't hiding in fear. They were hunting. The humans are more dangerous than we thought, he told his officers. Without our technology, we're at a severe disadvantage. We need to find defensible positions and organize for siege warfare. Dr. Min Seo worked frantically in her underground laboratory, analyzing samples brought back from the surface by the assault teams. The quantum field had disabled her electronic equipment, but she had mechanical microscopes and chemical analysis tools that still functioned. The alien armor is weaker than we expected, she reported to General Wu Jin through the pneumatic communication system. Their materials are designed to stop energy weapons, but they're vulnerable to kinetic impacts and chemical attacks. What about the aliens themselves? Wu Jin asked. They're physically stronger than humans, but they have critical weaknesses. Their respiratory systems can't handle certain chemical compounds. Their skin is sensitive to acids. And most importantly, they seem to have no experience fighting without techna. The Pacific Ocean had been quiet for weeks since the quantum field activation. Nothing moved on its surface except natural waves and the floating wreckage of alien ships. But deep beneath the water, something massive was stirring. Commander Yoon Seo stood on the bridge of the Incheon Rising as it rose from the oceanic depths. The submarine was enormous, larger than most alien ships, but it had been completely invisible to enemy sensors because it used no advanced electronics. Everything on the ship worked through mechanical systems, steam power, and human engineering. Surface in 30 seconds, reported his navigator through the ship's speaking tube system. All weapon systems are ready for deployment. Around the Incheon Rising, dozens of other submarines surfaced simultaneously. They emerged from hidden bases in ocean trenches, underground rivers, and buried launch tubes that had been secret for 20 years. Earth's hidden fleet was finally revealing itself. Captain Namjoon watched through his periscope as the alien orbital stations tried to understand what they were seeing. The remaining alien ships in space had been desperately trying to re-establish contact with their ground forces since the quantum field activation. Now they faced a new threat they had never imagined. "Sir, the enemy is moving ships to intercept us," reported his tactical officer. "Count shows approximately 200 alien vessels approaching from high orbit." Namjoon smiled. The aliens still didn't understand what they were facing. "Signal all ships. Begin Operation Rising Storm. Target the alien supply vessels first, then their command ships." The human fleet accelerated upward through Earth's atmosphere. Their ships looked primitive compared to the sleek alien vessels, but they had advantages the aliens couldn't comprehend. Every human ship was equipped with weapons designed specifically to exploit alien weaknesses discovered during the invasion. More importantly, every human crew had trained for this exact scenario. They knew they were fighting for the survival of their species, while the aliens were just following orders from distant commanders. The space battle began when the fleets met in the outer atmosphere. Human ships launched waves of kinetic projectiles that the alien energy shields couldn't stop. Massive steel spears accelerated by steam catapults punched through alien hulls like paper. The aliens responded with their remaining energy weapons, but many of their systems were still malfunctioning from quantum field interference. Their targeting computers struggled to lock onto ships that used no electronic signatures. Captain Bora commanded a squadron of fighter craft that had been hidden in underground hangars. Her pilots flew modified aircraft that looked like they belonged in a museum, but they carried the most advanced non-electronic weapons Earth could produce. "Remember, stay low and fast," she transmitted to her pilots through flag signals. "Use the wreckage of their crashed ships as cover. Hit their weak points and get out before they can target you." The fighters screamed through the battlefield, weaving between massive alien ships. They carried chemical warheads designed to eat through alien armor and toxic gas grenades that would poison alien crew compartments. Bora's own fighter dove beneath a massive alien cruiser and released its payload directly into the ship's engine ports. The chemical reaction began immediately, spreading corrosive substances through the alien vessel's propulsion systems. The cruiser lost power and began falling toward Earth's surface. But even as it fell, Bora could see alien emergency pods ejecting from the dying ship. The aliens were learning to abandon their technology when it failed them. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, the war continued to evolve in unexpected ways. Colonel Ah-Young received her mission briefing in the command center of Underground City 7. The holographic displays had been replaced with mechanical maps and charts, but the information was just as clear. A massive alien installation had been detected approaching Earth's solar system. Long-range observers report a stellar converter, General Wu Jin explained through the speaking tube system. "It's a weapon capable of igniting our sun and destroying the entire solar system. We estimate it will arrive in 72 hours. Ah-Young studied the mechanical drawings of the alien weapon. It was the size of a small moon, protected by energy shields and automated defense systems. According to intelligence reports, it required specific harmonic frequencies to function properly." "What's our mission?" she asked. "You're going to lead a team inside that weapon and destroy it from within," Wu Jin replied. "Our scientists have discovered that the stellar converter's harmonic systems can be disrupted by precise sound frequencies, specifically frequencies that human vocal cords can produce." Ah-Young stared at the plans. The mission was essentially suicide. Getting inside the alien weapon would require launching a small craft through its defenses, then fighting through automated security systems to reach the core chamber. Even if they succeeded, they probably wouldn't survive the weapon's destruction. "I volunteer," she said without hesitation. "I thought you would. You'll have a team of 12 specialists. The ship launching you will be the Soul's Vengeance, equipped with the fastest engines we have. Once you're inside the weapon, you'll be on your own." As Ah-Young prepared for her mission, reports continued coming in from around the globe. The surface war between humans and alien survivors was intensifying. Major Chan-wook had established a forward base in the ruins of what had been Tokyo. His forces controlled a network of tunnels and underground passages that allowed them to move unseen throughout the city. The aliens held several strong points, but they were gradually being isolated and eliminated. "Enemy movement in Sector 7, reported Scout Team 3 through a runner. "Approximately 30 alien soldiers attempting to reach the crashed command ship." Chan-wook studied his mechanical maps. The aliens were trying to salvage technology from their ships, probably hoping to restore some of their lost capabilities. He couldn't allow that to happen. "Deploy chemical warfare teams to Sectors 6 and 8, he ordered. "Cut off their retreat routes, then hit them with everything we have." The attack began with clouds of toxic gas released from concealed canisters. The aliens' breathing apparatus, damaged in the crashes, couldn't filter the deadly chemicals. As they stumbled through the poisonous fog, human warriors emerged from hidden positions. The fight was brutal and personal. Aliens had size and strength, advantages, but humans fought with weapons designed for this exact scenario. Crossbow bolts tipped with acid ate through alien armor. Explosive charges detonated with perfect timing to maximize damage. When the battle ended, all 30 alien soldiers were dead. The humans had lost 3 fighters, but they had prevented the aliens from recovering critical technology. Similar battles raged across every continent. Humans were slowly winning through superior tactics, local knowledge, and sheer determination. But the approaching stellar converter threatened to make all their victories meaningless. Engineer So Min worked frantically to prepare the launch systems for Ah Young's mission. The Soul's Vengeance was the fastest ship in Earth's hidden fleet, but it would need every advantage to reach the alien weapon before it could activate. Steam pressure at maximum, she reported to the launch crew. Kinetic accelerators are charged. Chemical boosters are ready for ignition. The ship itself was a masterpiece of non-electronic engineering. Every system worked through mechanical connections, steam power, or chemical reactions. It could accelerate to incredible speeds without using any technology the quantum field could. Disrupt Ah Young and her team boarded the ship in the underground launch facility beneath what had been the Korean peninsula. The facility was enormous, with launch tubes that extended deep into the Earth to provide maximum acceleration. Remember, Ah Young told her team as they strapped into their launch seats, once we're inside the stellar converter, we need to reach the harmonic core. The frequencies we need to produce are in your briefing materials. Everyone needs to sing the same notes at exactly the same time. It was the strangest military briefing in human history. A suicide mission that would be completed by singing. The launch was violent and spectacular. The Soul's Vengeance shot out of Earth's crust like a bullet from a gun, accelerating through the atmosphere at speeds that would have been impossible for any ship with living crew members if not for the inertial dampening provided by the ship's mechanical systems. As they raced toward the stellar converter, Ah Young watched Earth shrink behind them. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, but she knew that beneath its surface, millions of humans waited to see if her mission would succeed. The stellar converter filled their forward view screen as they approached. It was beautiful and terrible, a crystalline structure that pulsed with energy patterns. Automated defense systems immediately detected their approach and began firing. Evasive maneuvers, Ah Young ordered. Use the debris field for cover. The space around the stellar converter was filled with the wreckage of alien ships destroyed by human forces. The Soul's Vengeance wove between the floating hulks, using them as shields against the weapon's defensive fire. They found an entry, port on the converter's lower surface, apparently designed for maintenance access. The ship's cutting tools, powered by chemical reactions, sliced through the alien metal like it was paper. "We're in," reported the pilot. "But we're not alone. I'm D." Inside the stellar converter, Colonel Ah Young and her team moved through corridors that seemed to pulse with living energy. The walls were made of some crystalline material that reflected their flashlight beams in strange patterns. The air tasted metallic and made their skin tingle with static electricity. "Motion sensors dead ahead," whispered Sergeant Dalho, who was leading point. He held up his hand to stop the team. "Looks like some kind of automated security system." The alien security drone floated in the corridor, a sphere of metal and crystal about the size of a basketball. It moved in slow patterns, scanning for intruders with beams of light that swept back and forth across the passage. Ah Young studied the drone's movement pattern. It repeated the same sequence every 30 seconds, leaving a gap of about 5 seconds where the team could slip past undetected. She gestured to her team, and they moved forward one at a time during the brief window. They had traveled deeper into the converter for almost an hour when they encountered their first major obstacle. The corridor opened into a vast chamber filled with massive machinery. Crystalline structures twisted upward like frozen lightning, and energy flowed between them in visible streams of light. "This must be one of the harmonic amplification chambers," Ah Young said, consulting her mechanical compass and hand-drawn maps. "The core should be directly above us." But between them and their destination stood dozens of security drones, much larger than the one they had avoided earlier. These were the size of small cars, equipped with cutting beams and projectile weapons. "No, way around them," observed Lieutenant Minho. "We'll have to fight our way through." The battle in the harmonic chamber was unlike anything the team had experienced. The security drones moved with mechanical precision, but they weren't designed to fight enemies using primitive weapons. Ah Young's team used crossbows to target the drone's sensor arrays and chemical explosives to damage their propulsion systems. When a drone's cutting beam swept toward Private Song Yi, she dropped to the floor and rolled behind one of the crystalline structures. The beam struck the crystal and reflected in multiple directions, confusing the drone's targeting systems long enough for Song Yi to hit it with an acid-tipped arrow. The team fought their way across the chamber, leaving destroyed. Drones scattered behind them, but the noise of the battle had attracted attention from other parts of the converter. "We need to move fast," Ah Young urged her team. "More security systems will be coming." They climbed through maintenance shafts and service tunnels, always heading toward the center of the massive weapon. The converter's core chamber was located at the exact center of the structure, where all the harmonic frequencies would converge to create the stellar ignition effect. As they climbed, they could feel the weapon powering up. The walls vibrated with increasing intensity, and the air itself seemed to hum with dangerous energy. They were running out of time. Meanwhile, in space around the stellar converter, the battle between human and alien fleets continued to rage. Captain Nam Jun's flagship had been damaged by alien fire, but his crew kept fighting using manual controls and mechanical backup systems. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildup from the converter," reported his tactical officer. "It looks like they're beginning the ignition sequence." Nam Jun checked his mechanical chronometer. Colonel Ah Young's team had been inside the weapon for 3 hours. If they were going to succeed, it had to happen soon. "All ships, concentrate fire on the converter's external power conduits," he ordered through flag signals. "Maybe we can buy them more time." The human fleet launched everything they had at the alien weapon: kinetic projectiles, chemical warheads, and even ramming attacks by damaged ships whose crews had already abandoned them. But the stellar converter's shields absorbed the attacks without visible effect. Inside the converter, Ah Young's team finally reached the core chamber. The room was enormous, with crystalline structures rising hundreds of meters toward a ceiling that disappeared into darkness. At the center of the chamber, a sphere of pure energy pulsed with the rhythm of a massive heartbeat. "That's it," Ah Young said, staring at the energy sphere. "That's what will ignite our sun." But between them and the core stood the converter's final defense, a massive robotic guardian that unfolded from the chamber's walls like a mechanical spider. It was the size of a building, with dozens of weapons arrays and sensor clusters. "How? Do we fight that thing?" asked Sergeant Dalho. Ah Young studied the Guardian's design. It was built to stop conventional attacks, but like all the alien technology they had encountered, it wasn't designed to fight primitive weapons used in unexpected ways. "We don't fight it," she said. "We sing to it." The team spread out around the chamber, each taking a position near one of the crystalline structures. According to their mission briefing, the converter required precise harmonic frequencies to function. If they could produce the exact counter frequencies at the right moment, they could disrupt the entire system. "Remember your notes," Ah Young called to her team. "Everyone starts on my signal. We need perfect harmony." The Guardian detected their movement and began firing at them with energy beams that could cut through steel. But the team members stayed hidden behind the crystal structures, waiting for Ah Young's signal. She raised her hand, then dropped it. 12 human voices rose in perfect harmony, producing frequencies that had been calculated by Earth's best scientists, working with mechanical computers. The sound echoed through the chamber, amplified by the crystalline structures designed to focus harmonic energy. The effect was immediate and devastating. The energy sphere at the chamber's center began to fluctuate wildly. The Guardian's movements became erratic as its control systems tried to compensate for the unexpected interference. But the team had to maintain the frequencies for exactly 60 seconds to completely disrupt the converter's harmonic matrix. They sang while energy beams flashed around them and pieces of damaged crystal fell from the ceiling. Private Song Yi was hit by a falling fragment and stumbled, her voice faltering. Lieutenant Min Ho moved to support her, helping her maintain her note even as blood ran down her face. 50 seconds. The energy sphere was beginning to collapse, its pulsing rhythm becoming chaotic. The Guardian's weapons were firing randomly as its targeting systems failed. 55 seconds. The entire chamber was shaking now, and cracks appeared in the crystalline structures. The converter's harmonic matrix was falling apart. 60 seconds. Ah Young dropped her hand and the singing stopped. The energy sphere imploded with a sound. Like thunder, the Guardian collapsed as its control systems overloaded. Throughout the converter, harmonic amplifiers began exploding in chain reactions that would tear the massive weapon apart from the inside. "Run!" Ah Young shouted. Her team raced through the collapsing structure as explosions chased them through the corridors. They reached their ship just as the converter's outer hull began to buckle. The Soul's Vengeance launched itself away from the dying weapon with chemical boosters firing at maximum power. Behind them, the stellar converter collapsed into a gravitational anomaly that pulled in debris from throughout the solar system. The massive explosion was visible from Earth, a brief new star that marked the end of the alien threat. But the victory came at a terrible cost. The gravitational distortion destroyed half of the remaining alien fleet, but it also damaged many human ships that were too close to the explosion. Captain Nam Jun watched the expanding shockwave approach his flagship. "All hands, brace for impact," he broadcast through speaking tubes throughout the ship. The Incheon Rising was caught by the edge of the gravitational wave and tumbled end over end through space. When the ship finally stabilized, Nam Jun found that they had been thrown completely out of the solar system by the force of the explosion, but they weren't alone. Long-range observers detected other human ships scattered throughout nearby star systems, also thrown clear by the converters. Destruction. For the first time in human history, they had vessels capable of interstellar travel. The war was far from over. Admiral Kai Min received reports from across the solar system as the aftermath of the battle became clear. The stellar converter had been destroyed, saving Earth from annihilation. But the alien fleet was regrouping, and their surviving commanders were calling for reinforcements from across the galaxy. "Sir, we're intercepting alien communications," reported Captain Bo-Ra from the Lunar Command Center. "They're requesting immediate military support from the Galactic Confederation. They claim Earth represents an unprecedented threat to galactic security." Kai Min nodded grimly. The aliens had finally realized what they were facing. Humanity wasn't just defending their homeworld anymore. They were actively hunting their enemies across space. "Prepare Operation Exodus," he ordered. "It's time to take this war to the galaxy." Deep beneath Earth's surface, massive construction. Facilities that had been hidden for decades began producing ships designed for interstellar conquest. These vessels used the same non-electronic technology that had proven so effective against alien defenses, but they were built for long-range missions far from Earth. Captain Yun Su commanded one of the first hunter-killer squadrons to launch from Earth's hidden shipyards. Her mission was simple: track down fleeing alien vessels and eliminate them before they could.